And we have 13
Yes.
maps, of course, and it's a good mix of standard maps and custom maps. I've just put the Scottish version of the maps that we've named them. A lot of them are quite accurate, actually, but we'll get onto that. So we've got 13 of them, a good mix of some classic maps, ones that you've not seen for a while, looking towards like a continental, and then some, well, rivers, highland, these kind of maps, and then some more maps that have been more common in recent big tournaments, like a Land Madness would be a good example.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the things to note is we do more of a proper Loch Ness. Loch Ness is something that's going to be involved in the Terra Nova duos, but it's more like Baltic, whereas Loch Ness is actually, if you ever look at Loch Ness on the map, which if you go into just now, you'll see it's extremely long and skinny, which is not what the map represents. It's not good enough, is it? Imagine doing that.
No.
So thinking in
Just
I think in an ideal world, it would have been a bit thicker, the river we have in the middle, but it certainly looks more proportionate than the other map.
yeah. Neither of us are mappers, are RMS wizards. So I think we've done a pretty good job with the tools and the knowledge we have available. Um, there is a lovely mix of maps here, I think.
Yeah, so starting from top left, we have Loch Ness, which is Highland, Southern, Uplands. Um, you said what was it? What is it again?
Lombardia.
Lombardia. That's right. Oh man, I hate that map. Uh, Loch Lomond is Baltic. Isle of Skye is continental. Cairngorms is mountain range. Central Belt is lowland. Balmoral Castle was Regicide Fortress, which is going to have to be played with Regicide. Hebrides is islands. Then we have Glencoe, which is going to be valley, because it's a big valley. Aberdeenshire is rivers. Ben Nevis is mountain pass. Ayrshire is land madness, and then Hadrian's Wall is the wall. So there's not a lot of differences between the standard maps that we have on the map pool. The main thing is the biome. So it wouldn't make any sense to have some maps spawn with desert because we don't have desert in our homeland. So everything was changed to have green type of. I think you put in for pine trees. Is that right? I think that's included
Yep.
in it.
Yep.
And wolves is the main thing. We don't really want tigers and whatnot to be appearing in Scotland. Of course, wolves
Yep.
have been extinct for, not extinct. They've been out of Scotland for a while, but I know they are looking to get them actually reintroduced in some places to deal with some of the wildlife.
Yeah. There will be bears appearing on some maps. This is, maybe a bit of a happy accident that I wasn't able to manipulate the random map scripts in a way which would allow bears to not be appearing on the maps. But if you do a little bit of Googling, you might actually find that there is archaeological evidence to suggest
Oh yeah,
the existence of bears in areas of Scotland. So
that is true.
yeah, so don't at me when you see a bear on southern uplands. Okay.
The Jake says he's going to show the true dominance of Goth's anarchy. Oh god. Oh god.
I they see I there is like Goths on Ayrshire. I think would be kind of fun. I'd love to see an all-in play with Goths
Hmm.
on a real open map like that.
It would be interesting. AR, thanks for sending the raid over as well. I think it's quite interesting because we have quite a good balance of water maps, ones that are more like a hybrid, and some are very closed and some are very open with a nomad start. And then I think it's just a really good mix. There's obviously a lot of maps. There's 13, which is almost borderline for me a little bit too much. I think ideally I'd like to would have got it down to 11, but all you got
Yeah,
to do is just ban a couple more maps anyway. So I think
yeah,
it's good to have choice. I think it's very good to have choice, and
yeah. Like
there's a good balance there.
there's such a limited number of civs. We've really streamlined the civs that you can play, and then expanded the maps. And there is, like you said, such a variation here. Um, there's proper clown maps with Balmoral Castle and the Wall or Hadrian's Wall. and then quite standard maps, Glencoe and Central Belt, and then you got your full water maps and your hybrid as well. So like for a lot of the strategy and preparation is going to come down to what you can do on these maps as opposed to what sort of civs you have in your back pocket, because the civs are quite limited. So you've got to be creative with how you use your civs on these maps.
Yeah, and just looking back at the civs as well, we can see like we have there's a good balance between them as well. You know, we've got two civs that are arguably very strong cav civs, two that are very strong on Warren, Byzantines, and Vikings. We have some infantry civs and Goths and Celts. You know, Britons are really, you know, the only true archer civ, but then Byzantines could come in there as well. Vikings have fallen off a little bit as well. The civs that are there are quite flexible between like a couple of map types at least. So I think there could be some. I think there still could be some interesting matchups depending on it. Maybe the water ones might be a little bit streamlined depending on what they pick for the wild card, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I guess we will see.
Yeah, like we're not going to see many eagles and we're not going to see many elephants, but I think people are probably okay with that. Like the civs that we have, the two infantry civs are like different infantry civs as well. It's like Celts, obviously the strong early game, Goths the strong late game.
It's gonna be really nice to have a tournament,
yeah,
and not have to see too much meso. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's going to be fun, I think.
I'm actually really looking forward to that aspect.
No meso, not too much Chinese either.
No meso.
And like
nice.
I think it was really like I wanted to have a map pool that was relatively standard, but didn't include Arabia, because at the kind of mid elos, game like just Arabia is played every set in no matter your tournament, no matter how exciting your settings are. If Arabia is there, it's always going to be played in one of the two or one of the three games. And so while there's maps here which are similar to Arabia, they're not quite Arabia. So you can always they each have a different kind of side to them other than Arabia. So you can always bring an extra little strategy to it. You can't just play it bog standard and meso out your mind on Arabia.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to think outside the box a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it was, you know, we did consider just running with 7 civs, which would have been pretty crazy on so many maps, but then, you know, don't want to make things too restrictive for players, so give them the wild card where they can throw in something else and have another civ available, which is always nice.
Yep.
I think we will hop into the editor and we can just take a quick look at the maps. So it'll probably take like 5 to 10 minutes. And then after that, Good Guy's going to look at the format, and then I'll be on to the handbook. And then after that, it will be almost time for the spicy draw. Oh boy, oh boy.
Cool.
Okay, let's go into the... Is that the right screen? It is. Fantastic.
How great are these scenes, by the way, folks? Like, let's just appreciate the quality of the scenes here that Paradox has put together.
Well, this one is just the bog standard in the editor, which the editor's... It'd be good if you could like reskin the editor, but you can't, you know? But yeah, this is Aberdeenshire, and we can just see, oh my god, this is a nasty spawn with a wood at the back. I guess the wood's pretty safe, right? But there's a wolf that we're expecting to see.
Yeah,
and
that's good.
Aberdeenshire's relatively standard. You get 2 boars, gold, stone, gold at the back as well. You get berries, 4 sheep. Everyone's pretty standard. They do have deer as well, but of course there's a big river in the middle that kind of meanders its way through and splits up a little bit with lots of fish. So you would be expecting players to go for a kind of standard hybrid start here.
Yeah. You can have a generation on this map in which the water goes all the way around the outside.
Just like that. I just generated that. That's quite interesting.
Oh, yeah. So the inspiration for this map was Aberdeenshire with its 2 rivers, the Dee and the Don. That's where I'm Fae. That's Far I Bide.
Oh god.
And so yeah, and yeah, it's going to be a pretty standard hybrid map, I think. So yeah, but we don't see river maps too much in big tournaments. There are a few different maps that are like this, but we don't see too many of them in big tournaments. So it's going to be nice to see how this one gets played.
We don't, and I think the main reason is people always think it's very campy, which
Yes.
I can see. I can see the reasoning. There's one crossing nearly always on the map, but because the river goes right across the map, there should be quite a lot of good sneak potential. And I don't care what you say. Sneak is always fun,
Yeah. Yeah. I
regardless if
think.
the map can kind of develop into something that's campy.
Yeah. Do a surprise Goths or Celts pick on this map. You send your like 12th villager forward with your scout, get a house down, get a barracks down in the opponent's island, and you have yourself a pretty nice looking drush, or you could turn that into a man at arms towers, and you can go all in on your opponent, I reckon. So it could be quite exciting.
Nearly all of these generations, I'm getting the water on the outside. There's one. There's one. I got it just through the middle. But yeah, water's going to be very important for map control, and there's gold in the middle of the
Yeah.
rivers as well. So your gold is going to expire after some amount of time. 2 patches of 4, and then just a main gold. And then you've got some other ones actually, by the looks of it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you have some more kind of goals out towards the side, and a couple of relics should be on each side. I think someone will generate with 3 though. Yeah, looks like it. You have to find them. Not a lot of wood in the map. If you actually look at it, like the clumps of
Yeah.
trees aren't very, they're not very big.
No, so I guess that kind of will prevent the game from going too late.
Definitely, yeah. Especially
Yeah.
in water engagements and these kind of big battles that can go on forever, and everyone's just firing ships after ships.
Yeah. Excited to cast these 10-hour games.
Oh boy. Okay, Ayrshire next, which is Land Madness. Everything pretty standard tier. Nothing too different. Of course, with Land Madness, you only get one boar. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, one boar and
One
then the
boar.
berries.
Yeah.
And lots of deer.
And you get that little fail-safe berry on top of your TC as well, which is kind of nice.
Yes. So Ayrshire IRL is quite flat, I believe, and is famed for its Ayrshire cows. So you should, on a slightly higher percentage of generations on this map, get cows instead of sheep. I think it's maybe like 50%. So that'll mean
Give me some
you will
cows.
have you will have good food income.
I did get pigs there, so that was bacon. Bacon again.
Oh, you got pigs.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that works.
Okay,
There's the cows. We got cows.
there's the cows. Good stuff. Yeah, I mean there's pigs in Ayrshire as well. Yeah, so this will obviously be a map where Franks or Sicilians would be kind of the thing you'd be thinking about as far as the civs that we have of the 7.
Yeah, I would say so. Ayrshire isn't terribly flat, if I'm being honest. But Ayrshire is a bit of a war zone, so it makes sense for Land Madness to be called Ayrshire.
There you go.
Because it's a mad
Places.
place. It's a mad place.
It's a mad place, yeah.
And that's where this is. Land Madness usually very open. You can't. Obviously, the small walls into the wood lines are difficult. You can't really TC the wood lines either. So, yes. So the games are always good to watch. The games are always good to watch on Land Madness. I do enjoy it.
I really like playing this map. It really rewards aggression.
Yeah.
In Feudal Age as well. Like going heavy on scouts is just such a play here.
Just
you
committing
remember
to Feudal
the
Age as well.
Yeah. Big feudal commitment.
Yeah. Balmoral Castle. Again, everything very standard here. Regicide Fortress, you got to make sure Regicide is enabled. You have the extra villagers you start with. 5? Is it 10? It's 10, right? So you get 10 villas, the farms down. You get 2 boars, but no deer. We'd be expecting just fast castles, fast imps into some big engagements, and we'd be expecting Britons, Goths, maybe even Celts, depending on if they're playing some cavalry civs, and then you could also throw in a wild card civ that somebody could use. But I know there's quite a few clowns out there that would be that are going to be using this map for sure.
Yeah, I think typically the best saves on this map are maybe like Spanish Mongols, right? So that you might see wildcard picks on this map.
Spanish. I think Spanish in general, yes, can be quite good, but because your Britain's already there. See, I
Yeah, that's a good point. Like Britons are going to be, and Dave as well saying Chinese are good here. So
yeah,
Spanish may be a risky one.
yeah, or even Chinese on a normal, like more open land map would be really nice.
Yeah.
I wonder how many
Um,
people will pick Chinese at the end of the day.
we'll see. Obviously, IRL Balmoral Castle is like the Queen's getaway. Like this is where the royal family comes up to chill in Scotland. This is like their little hideout,
Yeah.
their little crib. So that's why we have it on regicide mode. So you can go royal hunting.
What was I gonna say though? There was one more thing, but I think I've lost it. Oh well.
Well,
But we'll go on. Ben Nevis, which is oh boy, which is of course Mountain Pass, which is Nomad Start. But Mountain Pass is a little bit of a fucker to play. Of course, Ben Nevis is the highest point in the UK. Pretty big. It's not really a mountain, so to speak, but it is a pretty big hill. But you do start from sea level, some ports. We'll call it a mountain. We'll call it a mountain. But the resources in this map are pretty scarce. The wood lines are quite small. Lots of hills. The boards are very spread out. We have gold and stone, but it's not a lot of it at all. So it's very kind of luck RNG based, and that is
yeah,
that's part of the gameplay of Nomad for sure. Um, so if you're gonna try and go into this map with a game plan to go for Spanish into conks, it's probably just not the best plan you can have because there's just so much luck RNG. So my suggestion would be to try and play civs that are not going to be gold and stone reliant, and just be prepared for the worst because the patches of gold are not very big, the patches of stone are not very big, so they're going to run out pretty fast. I will note one thing: the gold and stone usually all spawns towards the outside of the map,
yep.
so that is where you're going to want to prioritize. But there is a lot of hunt. There's a lot of sheep, and there are boars dotted around the place, but they're not terribly common. So it's not. This isn't land nomad. For me, it plays very different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if you're not prepared for it, it can be a bit of a stickler.
Yeah. So it's going to suit the nomad wizards out there. I thought it'd be good to have one nomad map, and this is like hills and sheep. What more accurately describes the Scottish countryside than hills and sheep, right?
Exactly, exactly. We'll see the Mongolian Tatars come over.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think Tatars are pretty good on one of the other maps. Maybe it's the next one, actually.
The Cairngorms,
Yes,
which
the
is of course
Cairngorms.
mountain range, which is typically more known as it was an Empire Wars
It
map
was,
first,
yeah.
wasn't it?
Krazini Empire Wars map.
Yeah. But now we've got it in this one, which most people should recognize. It's got this a big elevation land in the middle, and quite often or not, you want to prioritize the map control in this area. You don't get a lot of resources from it, but you can see there's not a whole lot of gold on the map. You just have these kind of 4 patches of gold at home. So you probably want to end the game relatively fast because a 3 tile there, 4 tile, a 4 tile there, and then that big one's really far away from blue. That's odd. Same for red though, so it's balanced. So
Yeah.
maybe that's deliberate. Actually, the big gold you need to
Yeah,
expand out to. It must be
yeah,
something I've never
I think
noticed
so.
actually. Huh.
I played quite a bit of this in team games. I've never played on a 1v1, but I think yeah, like the middle is so open that um you're not going to see archer civs too much on this map just because of how easy it is to get surrounded in that middle there with knights or something.
Hmm.
Um
Potentially, yeah.
yeah, but with fixed positions, um you know exactly where your opponent is. That makes laming a possibility on this map. So, if you got your boar out in the front there and your opponent knows exactly where you are, you want to take that as soon as possible.
Yeah, and of course, laming, everything's allowed. Everything is allowed, apart from the Nomad Start maps, which I believe we were meant to update to the no treaty version. But if the treaty's on it anyway, we should be all right. But That's only for the TCs, but you can't attack films or whatnot. But there's separate rules for the normal start, which you should all be aware of. Alfred did ask for life advice. Alfred, you need to ask. You need to tell me what you want advice on, and then I will gladly, or we can gladly help you in that one. But you need to let us know. So Cairngorm's pretty solid. Central Belt is Lowland. Is this a new map or an older map?
This is an Empire Wars. This is a
isn't it?
Krazini Empire Wars.
Yeah,
Yep.
it is.
I really like this one again. I think there's some great there's some great Empire Wars maps that translate really well into normal gameplay. I think it's like obviously it's kind of a gold pit kind of vibe where you start with like very little gold around your base, very little stone, and then there's more resources in the middle. But because of the middle has also got the wood lines and it's also got deer as well and berries. So like there's some very TCable locations in the middle there. So I think we're going to see maybe Britain's being one of the stronger civs on this map from the Expo and TC play.
I would say so. And you've got that fifth relic in there as well. Looks like you get two on your side that are always going to be safe. Yeah. And the wood lines at home are relatively small when they have few tiles fixed, so Expo should be able to range no problem going over them. It should be quite an aggressive map, I think. Not going to be the easiest thing to wall out, and even if you do wall out, oh boy, no. Expo's mangonels coming over, hitting you from all angles will not be nice.
Yeah. Yeah, you could if you have a good map seed. I don't know if you're still in this generation. The one with blue there, with the berries and the golds at the back, you could try FC, like Drush FC, but
would be a risk.
I think it would be a risk. Yeah,
would be a big time risk. But everyone looks pretty standard. 4 deer, extra geese, 2 boars, normal berries. Should be a pretty standard map, which is good to have ones that are similar to Arabia, but still a little bit different.
Yeah, for sure.
Alfred, how to not suck AoE 2? Just get good. That's like good.
Yeah.
Just get good.
Get good.
Okay, Glencoe up next, which is
yes.
Valley. Valley, of course, referring to Glencoe, which is one of the biggest valleys, one of the biggest, or probably the biggest valleys in Scotland, which is really quite breathtaking, actually, if you've ever been to Glencoe. I can't say the map does it any justice, but, you know, it's good to have something that does represent it. Valley's not been in the map pool for, you know, quite a while, actually. And it was in some tournaments. I do remember entering some like Wolio tournaments and Valley's been in there, and of course the big thing is having the shorefish and the mass of deer in the middle too. And you can dock it here as well. You can dock it. So I've seen people actually go for like war galleys for map control.
Oh, because you can move up and down that sand, can't
Correct.
you?
Yeah,
that's your boats.
Right.
Yeah, it's not just the water you're confined to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be if you were up against an archer civilization or something, that would be quite good.
Yeah, like potentially in like Castle Age, maybe. Even like Arbs. Yeah. Arbs against Galleons, man. It's quite sad to see how quickly Arbs just melt ships. It's crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think, this is another map where, depending on your map, Drush FC is possible, but I think aggression is still viable as well.
For sure.
Yeah, this is another map where Britons could be good, Vikings as well. So yeah.
Or for a potential wild card for a Mongols. Could be the thing. So much hunt available in the middle. You know, it's pretty standard map. You could also go forward in lane with your scout if you wanted to. I guess we'll see. But it should be one more for the meta boys, I think, for Glencoe. Okay, Hadrian's Wall up next, which is a custom map, of course, made by Bazzi, one of the TRCL boys, and I love it. It's a great map. It is a great map. And Hadrian's Wall, of course, one of the most kind of famous landmarks we have in the country.
Conceptually, a fantastic map.
Yes, and everyone starts with an eagle, and actually that is one thing you gotta be aware of. You always start with an eagle. You don't have a normal scout. So
Interesting.
you could just lame, or sorry, you could just pull on your boar with your eagle and then just heal it back up in a TC if you did want to go back over at one point, which is kind of nice. That is kind of nice.
Yeah, I think there is wolves right on top of the boars, so you want to be careful to have the difficulty rating of the lobby set to standard, as is recommended in the handbook.
Yep, yep.
Otherwise, there's a good chance those wolves might aggro while you're taking in your boar, and that could be very very messy. I mean, even if it's difficulties on standard, those wolves might see you. But I'm kind of looking forward to seeing some dead villagers. Minute 5.
I and I think the map is actually going to be way more aggressive than people are going to expect. It's feudal age stone walls, and they stay as feudal age stone walls, which when you have 900 HP. So
Okay.
unless the opponent is always scouting up and down it, it's not going to be hard to batter through there. It really
Yeah,
is not.
you don't get an attack notification,
You do
so
not get an attack notification, so you're constantly going to have to scout up and down to see for any holes. And the one thing is, if somebody does batter through, if they put a stone wall back up, you should be able to see the color on the mini map or when you go past it. So
yeah.
that would be one thing. But you could technically get fooled by that as well. They could put up the stone wall and maybe don't notice it properly unless you're got a big eagle eye.
Yeah. And then in the castle age, siege towers and funky stuff like that, siege monks. I think there's
Potentially,
some
yeah.
cool strats
Siege
possible
towers
here.
could be a potential lull moment.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Anyone who's seen the show matches in this map will know it's one of the most aggressive maps ever built in this game, says Ramaku. But that's yeah, I think it's going to be way more aggressive than people think, especially because the stone walls just have like no HP.
Yeah.
They just go down so fast.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm interested to see what people do go for. I remember watching the show match. I think there's one with Doubt had in it, but it's been so long. I need to go back and watch it. There's at least stuff out there that people could go and have a look, which is important. Alrighty, Hebrides up next, which is representing pretty much all of the Western Isles in the west coast of Scotland, which Scotland has 300 islands, I think, something like that.
Wow.
Something silly like that. There's a lot.
Yeah.
And of course, islands isn't particularly everyone's favorite map to play. It's certainly better than Team Islands, where you just get the hamburger map generation every time. Islands can sometimes be a little bit unbalanced in terms of how big or skinny your island can be. I know there's been some issues with gold generating, but I didn't see any of that when I was going through the script on this one. You have to play the map. That is one thing about islands you have to do. Is if you have like a really skinny island and you're going to be ranged from water, you're really going to want to prioritize, taking early control either for a landing or for having a good build and playing for water. Of course, the big thing about islands is you have the neutral gold in the middle as well and the relic, which you're going to want to prioritize as you go through into the late game into Imperial Age.
Yep. Probably going to see lots of Viking mares, maybe, but then also this could be a wild card map if there's a player who feels like particularly strong here,
or even Byzantines as well. I don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
Byzantines they certainly are pretty good on water maps. Can go for that kind of really fast imp, look for that fast fire, Greek fire, Perispike.
And then even a Celt's landing actually would be pretty sick to see.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully we see lots of landings. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yes, yeah.
That's what I'll be looking forward to. Okay, four more to go, I think. So Isle of Skye next. This is a classic map, really is. Continental is a classic map. It's been a while.
Yeah, this is a throwback.
And do you know it's a throwback? Because you have cliffs.
Yeah,
cliffs. That's when you know you're into like Age of Kings maps.
Yeah, serious choke points here.
Just beautiful to see. Now the one thing about Continental, sometimes the sides can generate together, so walling can be quite hard. But the guarantee is there's always going to be like a safe passage, or there's always going to be a passage through the middle part, which is going to be easily walled off anyway. But you will have to scout towards the outer edges just to make sure that there's no paths there as well. But there's always going to be a guaranteed path through the middle. And of course,
Yeah.
lots of deep fish on the outside. Um, I would be expecting bag docks probably, just so you can get the safe fish. Gonna take a while for your opponent to get there. Yeah, I guess we'll see how this one comes. It's been probably forever since this has been in a tournament map pool, and we're going to see how it develops. The one I've got on the screen is actually quite interesting because we've got both players relatively close to that middle bit and all that space out towards the right hand side.
Oh yeah, wow. It's got kind of Pokeball vibes, doesn't it, on some of these generations?
It does, yeah, it does.
I think this is a map that obviously is like one that is played as a kid and then doesn't you don't see it much these days, but I think it will be fun. It's got a real Scottish vibe to it with the water and the cliffs and everything.
For
So
sure, for sure.
it's nice to have it in there.
Iowa Sky, of course. I've never been up to Sky, but it's meant to be a beautiful place. And with the
Oh,
cliffs and whatnot, it's kind of like perfect because if you type in Iowa Sky, you'll see the Old Man of Storr, which is
which is
uh
a cool rock.
yeah, one of the most famous like images you can get towards like Scottish landscape photography, whatever it'll be.
Yeah,
It looks like the place.
I was there in October actually camping in Skye. And yeah, you're right. I was camping in October in Skye. It was
Seems dodgy.
freezing.
Yeah, it
It was
seems a bit dodgy.
so cold. I haven't been so cold, but it was fun. Like good to
Also,
get
one
away from
of
the big smoke.
the Big Smoke, Aberdeen. Okay. Uh, it's also got one of the highest percentage of Gaelic speakers in Scotland as well. That's where a lot of people in Skye can speak Gaelic.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Okay, last couple then. Three more. So we've got Loch Lomond, which is Baltic, of course, which everybody knows, the big body of water, which is much more like it's quite representative of what Loch Lomond looks like. You can, of course, go for full walls on the outside, play water in the middle. Everyone's seen Baltic enough time to really see what it is. You can of course go for some sneak potential here as well, but this is probably the one map that could be pretty campy. Going
Yeah,
on,
for sure.
yeah.
This is all water, baby. Yeah, again, the same sort of water shades are likely to be seen here, I think.
I I
But
I'd be very surprised if not Byzantines and Vikings.
yeah, and then again, the wild card pick, like with Portuguese or Italians or Bengalis, maybe. I don't know how strong they're going to be on war. Um, but some of those new civs are water orientated.
Yes, yes. So can you ban the disciple boy there? Posting the Z in chat. Who does he think he is, man? Rude boy. Okay, moving on to Loch Ness, which is Highland. Loch Ness, of course, we mentioned is a long, skinny loch. It would have been nice if we had good RMS skills and we could have expanded a little bit. But this map, same as kind of rivers. There could be some landed potential here. You've got the one crossing in the middle, but lots of deep fish. So you're probably going to want to play for docks, or maybe just going to be fire galley engagements. Galleys is going to be extremely rough with very little room to micro. And then we'll kind of see how the game develops in this one. It doesn't. There's not really a civ that kind of jumps out to me on it.
Yeah, well, my little brain thought that Celts would be good here because of the like again, like rivers, you have the chance to go forward here and try get a villager on the opponent's half of the map early and go aggression that way. And then we played a game here on the show match, and of course I was the victor.
I mean,
Uh,
that strategy you had for the early game was not very good, I think.
it wasn't maybe executed very well, but I mean, like you could see, you could see someone the likes of Tato or something executing that pretty well. I think.
Mm.
Go full YOLO. Yeah, I mean, then the other option is to add a dock, get a bit of fishing done, and but and go late. Yeah, for sure, big boom, or you could fast imp and try and push with Arb.
Could be a Byzantines play.
Could be, yeah.
Okay, Southern Uplands. Last one we have is Lombardia. Lombardy, of course, has changed quite a bit recently. Well, as far as I'm aware, the script did change in terms of how easy it was to wall previously. It's not quite as easy to do. So if you are going to go for walls, it's going to be quite a big cost. Of course, you're going to be on opposite sides of the map. You're quite close to the edge of it, so it's quite a big distance to travel. So either civs that are going to be quite high mobility, or you're potentially coming forward with a villager to go for with forward buildings.
Yeah, those wood lines are really chunky as well, so that's another reason that crossbows and archers might not be so strong because it's going to be harder to harass those wood lines. Your opponent might be on one that's like just you can't range it. So
Yeah,
again, like horses are the play here, I think, for a lot of games.
more quests. I love it. I
Yeah,
absolutely love it.
this is exactly what Scotland looks. And here again, we see the bears, which were found.
Now, these are definitely extinct in Scotland.
Yes,
A
most
long time
certainly.
ago. I think was it black bears or brown bears we had? I think it's more likely to be brown.
I think brown, yeah, some sort of small brown bear. Um, yeah, yeah. During the time of the Romans, I think.
And they killed them all.
Yes.
They killed them all. Anyway, that concludes the maps.